Hi everyone. So I did the Greek revival movement in America, and my name is Bautista, and here we go. So what I'm going to be talking about is the comment why I think the Greek style re-emerged in the 1825 through 1861 in America, and then the other one would be on what particular characteristics of the Greek revival movement stood out. The next one would be the discuss ways in which where your Greek revival style does something different from its origins. So the Greek revival movement began out on the interest in ancient Greek architecture and Greek art from two men, James Stewart and Nicole Revert. James Athens Stewart was a Scottish archaeologist, an architect, and an artist. Nicole Revett was a British architect. In 1751, they both traveled to Greece and studied the ancient ruins of Greece and published their work. The the Antiquities of Athens and Other Monuments of Greece in 1762. There was another publication in 1758 by Julian David Lee Roy, Ruins des plus vastos monuments de la Grèce, that provide another accurate survey of ancient Greece ruins as well. The publication provided architects the ability to study ancient Greek architect without even going to Greece and sparked the European interest in ancient Greek architecture, mythology, and culture. Many architects were impressed and influenced by these two publications that they started designing government buildings across Europe and replicating the prominent features of ancient Greek architecture, namely the columns found in Greek temples from examples the Pantheon. Architects incorporated the Greenist style of the Doric order and the Iconic order into the designs of government buildings and churches because it represents local nationalism and civic virtues. We see this in Francis of the British Museum, built between 1823 through 1848. In Germany, the Wall was built in 1842 in Regensburg, Bellevue, in Doric order style, and it was expression of German nationalism and value. The St. Petersburg in Russia with 44 Doric columns is another example of Greek temples architecture influenced countries across Europe. Lately, Greece was also influenced by the Greek revival movement. After the Greek War, independent Greece was faced with rebuilding their government buildings. They hired European architects who were part of Greek revival movement. They designed Greece Old Royal Plazas, which is home to the current Parliament of Greece, and the buildings at the Academy of Athens. The influence of Greek revival movement lasted up until the 1820s to 1830s, and its presence is scattered through the European and seen in the design of government, parliament buildings, museums, universities, and churches. As Greek revival movement was ending in Europe, it moved across the ocean. In America, the Greek revival architecture was introduced by Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson had the publication of Athens by Stewart and Revert. Since America was a relevant young country with a young domestic government, the seat of United States government needed a style that fit democracy. The Greek Revival architecture met those needs to symbolize nationalism and value of the young democracy. Thomas Jefferson hired Benjamin Henry Liberal to design the public buildings in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia. He designed the United States Capitol and the Bank of Philadelphia. This was the beginning for American Greek Revival movement. The American Greek Revival was characterized by the emphasis of Greek temples formed strong columns supporting a gentle pitch pediment roof. There were publications of architectural instruction book with plates showing evolutions, details, and plans for inspiring architecture builders and carpenters, which showed how to create generic style buildings and homes. These buildings were incorporated into a appreciation training program for architects, and it promoted the Greek Revival. The promote detail and characteristics of American Greek Revival are the Greek temples from the columns, the placement of the columns to form interest into a building, square head opening and attica and Greek temple style doors with two-tail vertical inset panels and ornamented special the ceiling, floor, doors, and windows. The main features of the Greek Revival in America were the columns. The columns are the really Greek Revival movement in America. Ancient Greek architecture is distinguished by the Doric order and the Ionic order and the Corinthian order. The Doric order column was popular in in America Greek Revival. The column was either influid or smooth surface, then capped with simple circular form and topped with square cushions. The column stood on the foot of the building without any support or decorations. It used created the front entrance, public and churches, and homes, mansions, and just plain regular folks' homes. The American Revival style was different from the Greek architecture style because it incorporated the columns to have a specific function in architecture of America. Homes and buildings in America twisted of Greek Revival was finding purpose for the columns. For instance, architects placed columns to front of the structure for several purposes. One purpose was a way to mark the entrance to the structure, and the purpose was to provide shelter for the heat and rain. Another purpose was to create a porch people to have a seat conversation. These were functional purposes that everybody needed in Louisiana. Louisiana Greek Revival made their mark by using columns differently. Several ways they used the columns was to create gallery cottages, double galleries perhaps. Another difference with American Greek Revival compared to ancient Greek ruins were the materials used to build these Greek Revival buildings. That ancient Greeks used stone for columns since Americans did not have these sources. Buildings were used for wood, plaster, and painted. They used cast iron to make many decorations and balconies, galleries inside the Louisiana Greek Revival buildings. Mainly were supposed to be horizontal. And that's what I have for this whole project. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. And bye. And here I have the footnotes and the biography. And many pictures I have. Buildings.